It's no secret that so far, this year has been a rather disappointing one for moviegoers, because with the exception of a few anomalies, the movies we've gotten from Hollywood have been mostly unoriginal and uninspired, ranging from pretty bad to pretty mediocre. But amidst a sea of letdowns, occasionally a movie comes along that seems like it has potential to actually be good, and after seeing the trailers for Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing, I was cautiously optimistic. On the one hand, it seemed to have a decent enough cast, an experienced accomplished director with real credentials, and a crime genre that's always interesting to explore, and with such amazing scores from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, I figured, what could possibly go wrong? Well, now that I've seen Caught Stealing, I'm ready to talk about it, and as usual, I won't spoil all the details so that you could still go see it, but I will share my overall thoughts with you, followed by my official score. And if you're interested in supporting an independent movie reviewer like myself, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it would really help me out.
Do it.
Caught Stealing takes place in 1988 in New York City, where Hank Thompson is currently a bartender at some dumpy bar, but when he was younger, Hank was actually considered a promising baseball player en route to securing a professional career in the majors. But any hopes that he had of being a superstar athlete ended for Hank after a personal tragedy that still haunts him, which is why he's often rather moody and likes to drink a lot. The only positive thing in his life is Hank's girlfriend Yvonne, who's aware of his flaws but genuinely likes him and pushes him to be a better man. One day, Hank's life takes a dark turn when his punk rocker friend and neighbor leaves town to tend to a family matter without mentioning that he's secretly involved in some pretty shady business and that local criminals and law enforcement are looking for him. And since Hank is the one taking care of his neighbor's cat while he's gone, Hank, and by extension his loved ones, accidentally get caught up within the crosshairs of all the most dangerous people in town. Throughout this movie, things seem to keep getting worse and worse for Hank as he tries to think of a way to survive this ordeal, forcing him to eventually step up his game. The movie also gives us a bunch of different twists and turns, leading into an eventful final act that brings the story to a somewhat reasonable conclusion. Now, after hearing myself describe the general plot here, it certainly sounds like a movie that could work well as some type of crime action drama, and that's really what I had hoped it would be. Unfortunately, the movie left me feeling at least somewhat disappointed. For starters, I think the screenplay could have been better in parts. On the one hand, it expects certain scenes to be taken very seriously, but other scenes seem much goofier and lighter in tone, making this entire movie feel rather uneven. And since most of the characters in this movie just keep making dumb and illogical decisions, it also makes the story more convoluted, while also significantly lowering the stakes. And just to be clear, I think Darren Aronofsky is legitimately a good director, but I don't think he was able to overcome the challenges of the screenplay, which he himself didn't write. Aronofsky certainly does well enough in the more serious, somber, personal, dramatic parts of the movie, but when it comes to the quirky crime, dark comedy, the pacing, and the action, I actually think that Aronofsky falls short. In fact, for Caught Stealing, especially when considering the screenplay's flaws, the only director I can think of that would have been able to elevate this material is perhaps Guy Ritchie. Which is why, while I was watching it, I kept thinking to myself, why didn't they call Guy Ritchie and get him to direct this movie? It was exactly in his wheelhouse. And as far as the movie's cast goes, that was kind of hit and miss too. Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz are decent enough in their roles, but to this day, I'm not really sold on either of them as true leading stars. They're not bad or anything, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think they do anything to rise above the screenplay they were given. Regina King is usually a reliable actress, but I felt that she seemed kind of lost in her role here. The only real bright spots were Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio playing religious Hasidic criminal brothers with veteran actress Carol Kane as their mom. Honestly, all three were so refreshingly good on screen that when I saw them, I kind of wished that they were the focus of the movie and that we actually saw more of them. I would also say that Matt Smith was solid here, but I do think that he really wasn't utilized in the best possible way. His performance proves that he's possibly the best actor in the entire movie, but I feel like they gave him something of a toss-away character, which is really a shame because I think he had a lot more to offer. So at the end of the day, out of all the movies that I've seen this year until now, I feel like this one was perhaps the biggest missed opportunity because there were enough pieces of the puzzle to make something special, but ultimately, the result feels somewhat underwhelming. Still, I wouldn't say that it's the worst worst movie I've ever seen either, as it's not a terrible way to spend a few hours, and I suppose that if I were to give this movie a score where anything below a 60 is considered a failing grade, I would normally give this movie a 70 out of 100, but since this movie featured a likable cat in it, I've decided to give this movie a break and upgrade their score to a 71 out of 100. And if you enjoy getting these type of independent movie reviews from an independent movie reviewer like myself, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.